enthusiastic there.
I'm fry down because I know you're going to ask us to introduce ourselves.
So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh wait, I'm not ready yet. There we go.
Diva. I think he's dressing behind us.
Yes, I had to get all pretty for this one.
It's better than him dressing in front of us.
Yeah.
You've seen it all weekend long.
Children.
I know. Okay, so are you guys ready?
I saw this.
What?
Nothing.
Okay, so this is Galway Bright Radio. I am the host of this wacky and wild Doctor Who video podcast. I am David Beauchamp. I am joined by my co-hosts,
Angela Bridget.
And Drew Meyer.
and we have been doing something very special for the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. We have sort of been doing a primer of all the Doctors. And we have done the first, second, third, and fourth Doctor so far. And now we're getting ready to do the fifth, but first I get to put up this little graphic here. This is our actually second anniversary. We did some of our first appearances at Con Carolinas 2 years ago. I can't believe this is in 2 years that we've been doing the show now. I've done it with various co-hosts, but these are my two favorite and longest running co-hosts on the show so far with me. And because this podcast came out of me needing an outlet when I was in grad school. Just try to stay sane. And so far it has not worked at all. And they can tell you that for a fact. But I mean...
I was here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scary.
Very scary. And I mean, after all, this is a show about a madman with a box.
So awesome. Sorry.
Drew, would you like to tell the audience at home what you were getting all excited about?
Summons a person, not a number. And we appreciate any prisoner reference. Very nice.
So, we are talking about the fifth Doctor, who I'll get this out of the way. He is my favorite Doctor. He is awesome. He is my favorite.
I never would have guessed.
Why is that?
If you watch the show, you know regularly that he pines over the fifth Doctor, and I think got a restraining order at Mysticon from him.
I did not get a restraining order, though that first interview I almost got one.
That is true, because had you gotten one, it would be framed at your house, up on the wall.
Yes, it would be. So let's kick this thing off the only way I know how. It's the only one I found good quality on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. So the fifth Doctor. One thing I like to do for our primers is actually go over some of the talking points and facts about each of the Doctors, because some people don't realize certain facts about the Doctors. He started in 1981 and ran through 84. His first appearance was pronounce it for me.
Logopolis.
Yes. His last appearance was? Drew?
Time Crash.
Very good.
No, as Dr. Proper, not in special.
Time Crash.
No.
The Caves of Androzana.
Yes. He had 3 series or seasons, which he appeared in 20 stories, which equals out to 69 episodes. His companions were Adric, Nissa, Tingen, Javanka,
Vislor Turlo.
Chameleon, and Harry Brown.
Herpagillium Brown.
He is known as the cricket-playing Doctor, which I really should have my cricket bat with me.
It's one more thing you'd have to carry.
Yep.
Also at this point, the youngest Doctor at this time.
Yes.
And the first Doctor to kind of bring sexy to the role.
Yes, because before he was Davison was the Doctor, he was the Doctor as Tristan and all Creatures Great and Small. So he went from sort of one iconic role to the next. He's also known as the doctor that blew up the sonic screwdriver, which I really feel should happen to Smith's screwdriver. Sorry, Matt, in the audience there, Dr. 11. Screwdriver needs to go. We should get anything to do, you guys. You guys are so silent.
We're letting you do your thing.
Yeah, but I like to have some interaction here.
But it's your introduction. All right. Well,
It's a picture of a sonic screwdriver.
we should at least add that it was in
Interpretive
fact
dance.
not the doctor who blew up the sonic screwdriver, but the Terreptiles from the Visitation. So.
Yes, which was just released on special edition last week.
And Peter Davison did not get to keep the screwdriver. We asked him.
So yeah, this is a nice little, a little montage here of all the companions and some of the more notable.
Yeah.
What was that?
We're just laughing at Chameleon.
Yeah, we're laughing at Chameleon's face.
Always laughing at Chameleon.
Okay. Our favorite companions. And I think we start off with Drew on this one.
Oh, favorite companions?
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's the thing that I have a problem with.
Oh, wait, sorry. I have to go through our companions. Again, Adric, Nisatina, Tegan, Turlo, Chameleon, the robot, and Perry. I have such love for Perry. Okay, Drew, here you go.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Of all the doctors, I guess I feel that Davison's doctor suffered most from crowded TARDIS syndrome the most. And you know, there's been doctors before and after who've had 4 companions, or 4 people in the TARDIS, 3 companions. And I never really felt that the dynamics between Adric and Tegan and Nyssa really worked for me. Right? I'm not saying it was terrible, I'm just saying it didn't work for me. So my favorite companion is Turlo, who I always felt was one of the first companions to really have a good story arc outside of simply just being a companion on the show. Introduced in the modern Undead, going all the way to the Planet of Fire. Vslor Turlo, though we don't give his name until his final episode, is an alien basically hired to kill the Doctor. So the Doctor has an enemy that he doesn't know on the ship the entire time, which is pretty neat. And I imagine that if you were watching this show live at the time, and maybe some of you were, I was not, then you maybe create some extra tension that didn't exist previous to, which I think is pretty a really good idea as far as the exposition of the show is concerned, to actually have a threat from within.
Okay. Angela's.
I also adore this episode.
Speak.
Okay, well, I picked Adric, Nyssa, and Tegan as a group, not separately, because I wouldn't be able to handle Adric alone, whining through space.
I still say he's less whiny than Skywalker's.
But right now we're not talking about Star Wars.
I'm just saying.
He's not hotter. But, so I picked them together. I liked when Nyssa and Tegan were together, especially in this episode. Black Orchid, or is it Iris?
Black Orchid.
Yeah,
Black Orchid. I get the two mixed. Yeah,
You're
they're
Black
flowers.
Iris.
Yes, thank you. I get those mixed up. So, and plus there were creepy clowns. They were doing the Charleston. There was good music, awesome costuming.
Adric spent the entire episode eating.
Yeah. So he wasn't whining. So.
You know why he actually spent the entire episode eating, right?
Tapeworm.
No. that happens in front of us. No, Matthew Waterhouse was such a bad dancer that they didn't want to actually film him attempting to dance on scene, so they needed something else for him to do. So they said, hey, there's a food cart, just eat.
Craft services were awesome that episode.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Then we come to my favorite companion. No, not Chameleon. It is also Tegan and Adric. I mean, when Baker turned into Davison, those were his companions, and for some reason, you know, being really young when I was watching Doctor Who, they just clicked. I mean, and I never found Adric whiny like lots and lots of fans do. I don't know. I just those three together are just, I think, a magical combination with this new young Doctor. And yes, unfortunately, it did have some TARDIS crowding there, but you know, that first episode, Castor Valva, just they each had their own little roles to play, and I fell in love with each and every one of those characters, even more so than I did when they were barely with Baker, except for Adric. And I always liked Adric and Romana number two's interaction with one another. I always thought they were better than her and Baker's, but that's a whole other story. And there's one other companion I adored in the show, the Celery. The Celery was there from the beginning all the way to the end. He was the most loyal of companions.
And Peter Davison did not like celery.
He hated celery.
Luckily for him, it was a problem.
Until he had to actually eat it.
Yeah.
Okay, our favorite Who villains and monsters from this season of Doctor Who. And we start with Angela.
Now see, I thought we were only allowed to pick one, so I tried to sneak in two. But for this one, I picked the Cybermen because they're so goofy. Like this was one of the first times we see them after so long, and they look different. And they laugh diabolically.
And which is what they sounded like.
They popped out of tubes this time that looked like cardboard, not plastic wrap. So, if most of you have ever watched our show, I talk a lot about two of the Cybermen and then popping out of the plastic wrap. So this one it was nice to see them pop out of something that almost looked like it could be tinfoil or sheet metal or overly large toilet paper rolls. So I picked the Cybermen and the Master just because the whole fight with them, the whole season, and it was just brilliant and wonderful and awesome. And he has the creepy goatee mustache, which I think all Gallifreyan bad guys now should have creepy goatees and mustaches.
Yeah, it was a shame that Johnson did not carry on the tradition of the creepy bearded goatee, the rubbish goatee.
He had a wife.
So are you saying that creepy goatees
No,
equal wives?
No, it's a time crash. Did he still have that rubbish beard? Well,
yeah, I know.
No, he has a wife.
But you have a wife.
And I have a beard.
Yep.
But you really should get mutton chops. Okay, Drew. Drew with his menagerie of...
See, I called this not being fair.
Okay.
All right, so Davison's not my favorite Doctor, but he had some really exquisite entities. The Eternals from Enlightenment, especially Captain Rack, pretty awesome. By the way, the gentleman holding the semi-charter's face is a rock star whose first name is Lee with 3 E's. Yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. Ansel. The Merca from Wars of the Deep. This is such a brilliant moment because the Merca is this giant, unstoppable, destructive underwater menace. The problem is it's essentially a pantomime horse with 2 people operating it, and they couldn't get the production of the Merca done in time to give them enough time to actually figure out how to work it. So the 2 men inside of it were in it for the very first time while they were filming, to the point where the Merca's bright green paint that is on the front side of it is actually still wet at the moment of this. You can actually see it rub off on some of the characters during the show. Oh. I'm not going to scream it, but tractators. Tractators from China. They're essentially wood lice that have the ability to control meteors and harvest human body parts to build their digging machines. The books, they're a lot scarier than they are in the episodes, but they're pretty cool. I would love to see them come back. The Pteroptiles from Visitation. We have some really kind of exquisite animatronics, especially in the face with these guys. I mean, sure, they kind of look like the beta fish. They're essentially bipedal beta fish. They destroyed the sonic screwdriver, which was pretty awesome. And I actually, of all of these, I would love to see these guys come back. I think that would be pretty cool. Oh wait, no, I have one more.
You do have one more.
Of the 5, I think Pterodactyls.
And the Kinda Snake.
Okay, if you're going to call it Kinda Snake, at least call it the Mara, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
We'll talk about favorite episodes a little later, but Enlightenment is definitely in my top of just all Doctor Who episodes. And the Mara and its final sequence, both with the original snake that we're seeing here, which is essentially a papier-mâché puppet on a string that's bobbing up and down, and then the later addition of computer CGI. Sorry, I know that's redundant. CGI. Both. It's very cool and enough to get Chris Bailey to write a sequel to it with Snake fans.
And then for me, there's only one monster villain that I love out of Davison's run, and it absolutely has to be the Master, because there wasn't that beta dynamic that we hadn't seen since Pertwee and the Third Doctor and the Master, because sadly the Master died. So we weren't able to continue that storyline. And then for Baker, we had the, I don't know, mummy zombies, the Skeletor Master, for just a handful of episodes before he took over Nissa's father and became this version of the Master. And they just had such wonderful play back and forth from the start with Castrovalva all the way through to the end. And it's really sad that he's no longer with us now. It seems to be the curse of the Master. His last few things that he ever got to do as the Master was for a Doctor Who video game. And I forget which of the DVDs it is. Oh, it's Survival. You actually get to see the clips of him as his last role as the Master. And it's just absolutely wonderful to see him one more time playing the part of the Master. Oh, that's just a great picture of the two of them staring off.
Well, they're not really staring off as they are back to back. But yes, yes.
And Drew got me a T-shirt with that picture on it.
I do. I think that's almost the exact same.
It is, yeah, but stylized. Okay, this is the fun part where we talk about our favorite episodes. And don't worry, I'm gonna pull you guys in momentarily to find out, your thoughts and feelings and stuff like that about Baker, about Davison. Favorite episodes. And the great thing is with us, we actually we kind of agreed on a few of these as being some of the best Davison episodes.
Well, we only have 3 seasons to kind of choose from, and there are some clear winners in Davison's run. I mean, it's really great stories.
So we're going to start with the first one that we all agreed on, Urshak. Urshak, I mean, to me, I think has one of the greatest moments of Adric, and I think that's one of the reasons why I adore it, because it always stuck in my head when he's just standing there, the Cyberman blows up the...
Spoilers, by the way, just if you haven't seen it. We're going to spoil the ending for you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Spoil it.
Sorry.
Spoil it. Raise your hand if you have not seen Urshak.
The BBC just showed it last week as their Doctor Who primer for the 5th Doctor as well.
Yeah.
So BBC America, if you have it on demand, you can go on
see,
there
no,
and watch it.
I'm just going to say it had one of Adric's greatest moments. I'm not going to say anything past that.
Well, no, the interview right before they showed the episode spoiled the whole thing for you. It was
we're not going to do that here.
No, he just had a great line where he's just like, he's trying to solve this problem, and then the Cyberman blows up the computer he was working on.
And then diabolically laughs.
And then Adric just says, now I'll never know if I was right. Because in the entire episode, there was a lot of banter between him and the Doctor about stuff, and this was like, I think, just the culmination of that entire episode was that moment, and yeah. Anything you guys want to say about Urshak? Since you guys also chose this.
Well, we've already, as you can see from the video, you will see some Cybermen in this one. And Cybermen have this, they kind of caught on really early on in Doctor Who that if you're going to have one of the main bad guys show up, you're going to have them show up at the end of episode 1. All right? You have no idea who the bad guy's going to be, and then you get this few-second teaser at the end of episode 1. That's usually the way they run it to both the Daleks and the Cybermen. And remember, this is of course pre-internet, so there's no way to spoil it ahead of time. We don't know that it's Neil Gaiman writing this episode. It is, an episode. It's Urshak. Nothing gives it away in the title.
This episode shocked people because they did not know what was coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
In two ways. One, the Cybermen, the other one, what we'll say in a moment.
They gotta watch to find out what the other surprise is. Okay, then we get to one of Drew's.
Yeah, and I mentioned alignment. This is one that it's cool. It's part of the Black Guardian trilogy, and this is the first episode ever written by a woman for Doctor Who, also directed by a woman, but not the first time she had done that, Fiona Cummings. And it's it's an anachronistic space adventure on sailing vessel flying through space, the culmination of the Black Guardian trilogy, a great moment for Turlo. Just really, I want to explain how wonderful it is, but I don't want to give anything away because you really should definitely get a chance to watch this one. It's really...
And if not for any other reason than to laugh at the Black Guardian's headgear, because it looks like he has a dead bird on his head.
That's because he has a dead bird on his head.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, what's with his hair? Oh, that's something on his head. It's really bad.
You can more or less see it in that.
Yeah, you can kind of see it off the side. It is pretty funny looking when you see it. You want to laugh at it.
Okay. That's right.
Okay. I adore this episode. It's Black Orchid. The TARDIS crew is basically transported to this wonderful, wonderful place with creepy clowns.
And a cricket field.
And a cricket field. And lots of food, because Adric was eating the whole time. And lots of fun music, because there's lots of dancing, there's costuming, they're in the 20s outfits. It's so fun.
Is this a two-part episode?
It's a two-part episode, and it's the kind of the last great true historical for Doctor Who in quite some time, because it's not a lot of sci-fi elements to it.
Yeah, and the BBC actually loves producing the historical pieces because they have literally this warehouse
and they
of
have,
costumes.
this is the one with that special on it,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah, they have.
You actually get to see the BBC's warehouse of costumes.
I want to go there so bad.
Incredible. They actually have some military buttons and pins that the military no longer has because they're meticulous about their historical pieces. So I know they're loving Downton Abbey and just doing the wardrobe for that show. And then for me, For You Doomsday, I'll be honest, not a great episode. It's one of those episodes that I remember as a kid. The episode always stuck with me is because he takes this cricket ball, throws it in outer space against his spaceship. The cricket ball bounces back at him and lets him travel to the TARDIS, which has been sucked out into outer space. And this is also the first actual episode that they actually filmed with Davison as the Doctor. They didn't film sequentially. Because they like to get an episode or two under their belts before they do the introduction episode, just so there's chemistry amongst the cast. But this was the first official Davison episode that they had filmed for his role as the Doctor. Anything else you want to say, Drew? Our vast encyclopedia of knowledge.
No, because then I start talking about how could Tegan possibly speak an Aboriginal language that had been dead for thousands of years. I'm not going to.
I can explain that to you, the TARDIS translation matrix.
Yeah, but if it was just affecting her, she wouldn't have to translate for everybody else.
It's a Clara syndrome.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Okay, Angela again.
Okay, well this is one that I own this exact same copy of the book, and most of my Doctor Who was, I read a lot of the books before I saw the episodes, so I just, look how cool he looks. Sorry, he looks like a samurai fish.
Or a samurai turtle.
Well, yeah,
A middle-aged
Question,
samurai
are you sure
turtle.
he's not like a teenager for their age?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I beat you to the punch on that one.
Teenage Mutant Samurai Turtle.
So any flashbacks about Warriors of the Future that you can pump out?
Yeah, Jonathan Nathan Turner really wanted an underwater scene and just about drowned Davison in. I've already mentioned the Merca facts. This is where we get my Merca in there. Fantastic. Well, so it's happening around the same time they're filming Warriors of the Deep. BBC's having some kind of strike. I can't remember if it was an electrician strike or building strike or something. And so they were expected to have X number of days to film, and they they didn't get it. They actually got shorted on it. And one of the beauties about early Doctor Who, especially in the black and white era, is that it's essentially a live play. They memorized their lines, they'd rehearse, and then they would get essentially a day or two to film everything before it went out on the air. You didn't get a second. If you got a second chance, you didn't get a third chance to do it.
They didn't do a lot of cuts.
Not a lot of cuts. Even into, this is Wards of the Deep is what, season 20, I think. I could be wrong on that one. I could be wrong. But even then, there's still, very rushed for time. And you can kind of see it in the acting. I know the original scriptwriter for this one, who was not Terrence Sticks, by the way, actually, they edited his script while he was away on vacation. So when he came back and watched it, he's like, I didn't write that, nor that part. Why is Ingrid Pitt drop kicking the Merkin? But it's still really an excellent episode.
And a Drew episode here.
All right, so Kinda is the first script by Chris Bailey. He only went on to do 2 of them, even though I think they'd want him to do a third. He just found the third to be too difficult to do. This is a really esoteric one, and one of my focuses in science fiction and just Doctor Who in general is my fascination with how Doctor Who shows religion. And this one really follows some kind of Buddhist teachings, especially with the Mara. There's some Hindu aspects of it. But it's also ethnographically, like a study of a culture and the spirituality of a culture is pretty neat. The acting in this episode is tremendous. There is not, it helps that 80% of the cast doesn't speak, and Nyssa gets a headache and goes to sleep, and we don't see her again until the last 5 minutes of the episode. So it's essentially a Tegan Adric, well, okay, not all the acting is fantastic because we have Matthew Waterhouse, but I think based off of what he had, he did okay.
It did not age well if you have seen her.
I have not actually. I'll probably look that one up. But yeah, I love this little Imperial Colonialist brigadier in his robot suit tracking through the forest, threatening to blow up people. But nobody in this episode dies. That is not something that can be said for many episodes of Doctor Who, but it's pretty cool.
And they did, was this the first part of the Snake Dance stuff, or is this the second?
Well, Kinda's the first one.
Yeah.
Snake Dance is the sequel to it, an indirect sequel. They want to do a third, but...
And they sort of did do another one with Big Finish. Yeah, they did continue the storyline. I'm not sure if it was what they originally intended for the show, but we have seen a third act.
Well, the original scriptwriter, Chris Bailey, tried writing it and said, nope, too hard, handed it over himself.
Yeah. Then for me, I mean, you can't talk about Davison without talking about the Five Doctors. I absolutely adore that episode. I mean, you have sort of all the living doctors in this episode. You do get a wonderful clip of Hartnell doing the goodbye speech from Dialectic Invasion of Earth. To Susan, you get a wonderful actor to reenact the first Doctor, which when I was a little kid, I did not realize they weren't one and the same. Because I was a kid, I mean, it looked the same to me, it must be the same people. But I mean, you get all these old companions back, you get all these old doctors back, you get a wonderful wax Baker back, and some great shadow footage. And it's just lots of monsters, you get the Yeti. Oh, the Yeti. I don't want the Yeti to come back. Please, Game Run the Yeti episode like you promised. But it's just a wonderful episode where you get to see the Doctors all together. And the Rassilon and the Black Tower. It's just, I get giddy over this. Anything you want to say, either one of you, about this episode?
I didn't like the episode as much as Davey does, but it's kind of like everything that it seems fans have been clamoring for the 50th anniversary. This is what they did for the 20th anniversary. They brought as many of the Doctors back. It's really 3.5 Doctors, but it's pretty impressive. And by the way, the terrible Zodin. We were trying to figure that out. And the terrible Zodin is the once named villain that Patrick Troughton's Doctor mentions to the Brigadier.
Oh yeah.
Previous episode, sorry, but I remembered it and I wanted to clarify. It's not Zoltan.
Then we have the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Time Crash, and that was a choice that both me and Angela picked for Time Crash. But I'll let you talk about Time Crash first.
Yay, Time Crash! we have the Doctor and his son-in-law, the Doctor, in one episode, which is beautiful. Sorry, if you haven't seen it, it's really fun. It's like, how long is it? 5 minutes? 4 minutes?
I think it's 5 minutes long in its entirety. It was done for Children in Needs. John Berman was the one that sort of brought it out because everybody knew that they were going to be doing something special for that year's Children in Need, but nobody expected this at all. I remember when I was watching it, because I think I had just saw it on YouTube because I knew it was coming out, and the BBC and Children in Need have their own channel every year for this. And you know, I hit play, and you know, it's Tennant, and I was like, okay. Then I see that jacket cuff, and I lose it because it was Davison. It was the Fifth Doctor. It was my Doctor back in current continuity. I mean, current Who. I mean, this was the first time they broke that wall. I mean, yeah, they mentioned things, you know, they brought the dialogue in, things like that, but this was the first time we had a crossover between really classic Who and new Who, and it was my Doctor. And then Tennant just gives this wonderful speech about how, you know, he was his doctor, and I won't lie, I was in tears. I still tear up most of the time when I hear that speech, because I mean, honestly, that's how I felt. And luckily, I didn't get that restraining order at MystiCon when I tried to give him that T-shirt during our interview. But yeah, no, and Davison was just, oh, it was a magical moment.
Sorry, David Tennant's on the screen.
There we go. No more Davison. No more Tennant.
That's what you found for Caves of Androzani? All right.
That's a special edition cover.
Special edition cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that special for you.
Okay. Yeah. So, the Caves of Androzani is Robert Holmes' script. It's directed by Graham Harper, who is possibly one of the most dynamic directors of the time, and in both script and in filming and in editing and really in acting, and almost in all ways is Caves of Androzani a superior script to most of Doctor Who. And this is in my opinion, but I think a lot of people would agree. It's a fantastic film, and maybe with the exception of the magma monster, which is kind of a rubber mask creature. The terror and the horror really comes from the individuals and the political machinations and human greed. Really focuses on human greed. Morgus, Charlotte's Jack, and it works off a very similar premise to, say, Phantom of the Opera. This is the first outing that Davison has with Harry. Things do not go so well. This is the Davison's final Doctor Who episode in the classic years too. So you know he doesn't make it out of it.
Isn't this also rated one of the highest episodes of Classic Who? If I remember correctly, isn't it in like the top 5?
Actually, it's #1, but that's according to Doctor Who magazine ran the best of classic. No, actually, all of Doctor Who, the best 200 episodes, and this was ranked #1. But you know, a lot of that is just. It was a good episode of Classic Who that people had access to. It was one of those that didn't get wiped. You could watch it on reruns. It was, I think, one of the very first after the 5 Doctors and the Key to Time series, one of the first ones that put out on DVD. So it was in fans' memory a lot. But regardless of that, this is a good one. And if you haven't seen this, I think it's on Netflix. And if it is, you really should get a chance to take a look at it. Watch other 5 Doctors, otherwise you're not going to get the same impact on the regeneration sequence. And the regeneration sequence is fantastic, especially for the time.
Really?
The actual regeneration, not the camera angle. The camera angle is a little north of what it needs to be, and I think we might have a clip for that, and we'll explain that. But
and also, one thing is, Davison told J&T, Johnny Quinterno, that if he was going to wear the celery, there had to be a point to the celery.
Oh yeah.
This is where you find out what the point is. Though I'm not going to give that one away.
Oh no?
No,
I will just say that I got to be pedantic to Peter Davison because he didn't remember the reason, and so I got to shout it in a room full of Who fans because that's me.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Then another one we all agreed with, Drew just had the final episode of Davison's run, and we all agreed that one of the other top episodes is Castrovalvo, which is his first episode. I'll let you guys talk before I just melt into gooey
This is
mess.
Davey's least favorite episode.
So how do you follow that one, Drew?
Well, the regeneration sequence was absolutely, no, I'm sorry, not regeneration, but anyone who's watching Modern Who, we've gotten a chance to see what happens when the Doctor becomes the Doctor for the first time. His usual first adventures, it gets a little wonky. And Davison really grabbed hold of this and did an homage to pretty much all the other Doctors, because the idea behind Davison's casting was that he needed to be different. J&T, Nathan Turner needed him to be different from the fourth Doctor. Keep in mind, people have been watching Tom Baker, who was, my first Doctor, for 7 seasons. And it's very hard to get that image out of your head. And there are people who watch that, and that's it. Think about it. New Who has been on for essentially 7 series, right? So imagine if one Doctor had been doing that the entire time. Imagine if it had been Eccleston the entire time. However you feel about it, but just that's what people had in mind. So to come in and be something different, Davison had a very difficult role in front of him, and I think he really grabbed hold of that part. The homage to the other Doctors was very well done, especially, and we don't have a clip of this, and I wish we did, the unraveling of the scarf, which is, very cool to see, and yeah, so I'm gonna let you do the costume.
I don't know, one of my favorite things out of this one is go home TARDIS, you're drunk. Because if you see, the TARDIS is kind of on its side the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're like crawling up on it, or they're trying to crawl out of it.
And I think it's the first time that we actually see the TARDIS on its side like that when it lands, and stay that way, that I can remember.
Actually, yeah, that's
And the next time we see that is with Matt Smith and him crashing into the tool shed.
I just laughed so much at watching them just trying to climb up the TARDIS and
Yeah.
trying to climb out of it. It's very amusing.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, Castrovalva, just the initial regeneration, it was different the way they shot it. It was a much more active regeneration. You find out the mystery of the Watcher. There's so many wonderful things about Castrovalva, and since we are starting to run a little short on time, I could gush about Castrovalva and the Fifth Doctor and stuff, because we actually do have a possible huge rumor that they just released about New Who, which we'll get to at the end of this. And then we have some clips of our favorite moments, which I think a few of them have already talked about.
Yeah, I think we've probably talked to them. You know what? You probably don't need to play this clip. You can kind of see where our director of cinematography was paying attention to.
It's one long clip. I put it.
Oh, it is.
together.
Oh, it's all
Yeah.
one long clip. Okay. All right. So here we have the.
Harry, Professor Jackie's newest.
This was one of Drew's favorite clips. I would just like to point out.
I like it too.
Contains an antibiotic.
Davison wasn't thrilled with this.
Interesting.
No, we talked to him about that. Yeah, he not happy.
Finished. Only enough for you.
There must be something I can do. Tell me.
All this talks about not spoiling endings for you, and here it is.
No. And here's my cricket ball scene.
By the way, this is not, kids, this is not how science works.
Because it is.
It's Who science.
Exactly. It's Who fantasy.
It is. Well, and this is, Doctor Who is not a science fiction show. It's a science fantasy show.
I mean, as a kid, that sequence is absolutely wonderful to me. Yeah! There's our evolution.
Put that on there. All right. So if you don't want these,
No. I don't put the whole clip on there.
okay.
That's it. I love that line.
You know, I love being you. Back when I first started at the very beginning, I was always trying to get old and grumpy and important like you do when you're young. And then I was you. I was all dashing about and playing cricket and my voice going all squeaky when I shout, but I still do that. The voice thing, I got that from you. Oh, and trainers. And smell. But you know what, Doctor? You were my doctor.
Today is to come.
All my love to long ago.
Doctor!
And we start at the end, we'll lead to get back to the beginning.
It's the end. The moment has been prepared for.
Watch.
He was the doctor all the time. What? Fourth Doctor dies?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
And his
Oh,
regenerated
so,
albino.
Actually, I think this is the appropriate time to talk about the rumor.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Again, stressing.
Rumor. Supposedly they're going to be announcing something later today or tonight, or timey-wimey with all the
Yeah.
across the pond thing. Do you want to give the quote that they've given out?
You just heard it. The moment has been prepared for is the only teaser we're getting for whatever the next announcement is going to be. So you can take from that what you will. I know what I'm thinking, but
What are you thinking?
I think we're going to be bringing Adric back.
That'd be awesome.
So
No, I mean seriously. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I know you think it's the return of Tom Baker. We couldn't get the return of the Watcher, but
John Hurt as the Watcher.
possibly we'll see. So yet another rumor.
John Hurt as Tom Baker.
As the Watcher, as Adric.
As the Valiant.
So hopefully, come tomorrow when we're doing the Doctor Who debate, we might actually know what this rumor is. We're going to do also something a little different that we haven't done before.
And we're going to do it in 17 minutes.
With really? No, we don't have that much time. Oh yeah, actually we do. But we'll also be able to open up the floor to them to let them talk about Davison and what they might remember and what they care for. But I want to get this out here. We're actually starting once a month. We're going to be throwing out a trivia. A trivia question that you can respond to via our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our email address, or
Our Facebook page, look us up. We're Gallifrey Pirate Radio on Facebook.
Or the website. And Drew will be our official quizzer of Doctor Who knowledge.
Yes, I will be the quisling. No,
Will you give them our first trivia question?
First trivia question. Okay. So again, audience, remember that we want your answers via the internet. So please, in the audience right now, don't shout it out if you know the answer, because that's going to defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
Also, though, we also know that you're just going to go ahead and look it up on the internet anyway. But we will have prizes for correct answers. We know that more than one person will be able to give this to us. And your trivia question is this. We want to know two parts to this. One, how many times has the telephone on the TARDIS rung? And in what episodes did it happen? Okay, so two parts to it. We want a number of times the TARDIS telephone has actually rung, the one on the exterior, the one that shouldn't be technically ringing, and in what episodes did that happen? So if you can get that, send it to us at GPR, and we will randomly draw a name at some time in the future, and you may or may not win a prize.
And what is that email address, Davey?
GallifreyPirateRadio@gmail.com.
GallifreyPirateRadio@gmail.com. For those of you who are listening to this via YouTube or podcast.
Yes, and I believe, if I remember correctly, our first prize that we're going to be giving away is a copy of the Claws of Axis, a third Dr. John Pertwee episode.
Ooh, good one, nice.
Yes, a very good one. So, well, I'd like to open up to you guys. I mean, I'm not sure how many of you guys are classic Whovians and, you know, dig or might love or have any interest in the Fifth Doctor. But I mean, what are your thoughts, feelings, anything about the Fifth Doctor you might want to share with the group and all of the interwebs?
And make sure you speak loudly so our camera can pick you up.
Or if you want to, you can come up and talk into the microphone.
Or if you have questions.
Yeah, or questions,
Whatever.
yeah. I mean, whatever you
Take
want.
those.
Yes.
I just always thought it was a shame that, in my opinion anyway, that the best Peter Davison episode is his last. I just always thought that was a shame.
Well, here's the thing with Davison, too. Davison wasn't really happy with the second season, his second season. Decided that he wanted to end his tenure with three seasons. And this is something that Patrick Troughton told them before he actually started was, end at 3. And he felt it was time. However, the strength of some of the scripts in the third season caused him to want to change. However, the ball had already started rolling on casting Colin Baker. So he couldn't back out at that point in time. And it's something that he said many times that he regretted it. He would have stayed on if he could have. But yeah, Caves of Androzani, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so good. But if you're going to end, that's how you do it. That's how you do it, because it could have been much worse. There are lesser Final Doctor stories, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would have loved to have seen him go on, but I mean, who's not to say, you know, he would have been stuck with some of the scripts that Colin had. And those were definitely not nearly as strong as some of his Baker's or Davison's third seasons.
Hopefully they wouldn't have tried to change his wardrobe as well.
Yeah.
Peter Davison in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
No, just stop.
I'm sure if he had continued.
Give him a perm.
Just stop. Just stop. Just quit. Don't say bad things about my doctor. So one thing I didn't ask you guys, how would you guys rate this doctor? I know he's my favorite. I mean, he's my doctor.
1 through 11.
Out of 11.
Yeah, I mean, we're
like over 9,000.
Yes, we're going into Dragon Ball Z territory here. No, I mean, where does he? Yes, I brought Dragon Ball Z into Doctor Who. But where do you guys rate him on the scale of doctors? I mean, where is he for you?
Well, I like Davison, but I like Davison in spite of a lot of things. I think that he has some really tremendous stories, but this is also kind of the first JNT getting his grasp on it. And there's some things I really dislike about it. And again, as a doctor,
Yes.
I find him to be kind of okay. As the stories go, I find the stories to be superior in a lot of ways. So, I mean, at 11, I'd give him 8.5, 9. I do like him, I just don't love him.
This is hard. I didn't think I'd have to do this part. I don't know. Probably a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, but I mean, where does he fall on the spectrum for you?
On the spectrum.
Yeah, on the spectrum.
The spectrum. He's green.
No. I mean,
Well, it says spectrum. I mean,
yeah, I mean, the spectrum of the doctors. I mean,
Angela, if everyone ever asks you where Davison falls on the spectrum, you say
green.
praxis. You say praxis. And if you don't get that one, watch more Davison.
So any other, because I mean, we were actually at sort of our time limit. Is there anything else anybody wants to shout out, talk about, or want to know about Davison before we have to wrap up our sort of second anniversary show? We're talking about the awesome Peter Davison.
Yes.
I
Number
was gonna
6.
say, I know more from his Big Finish stuff in the show. I really like Creatures of Beauty.
Yeah.
Like that.
I haven't listened to that one yet, but I mean, I think that's a great thing about Big Finish in general. I mean, they're giving us adventures that, you know, with these doctors that cannot physically play the roles anymore because they just don't look the same. I mean, honestly, out of the classic doctors that are still alive, only really McGann, McCoy, and Davison to an extent could, you know, still pull it off, I think.
It is Davison's original suit that he is wearing in Time Crash, by the way, so he can still fit in. So bravo to the man for almost 30 years later. So
Yeah. But yeah, no, he was just a wonderful person to interview when we interviewed him and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, I've met lots of actors and stuff like that. He was a very fan-friendly actor for the sci-fi stuff.
It's true, and if you haven't seen her Davison interviews, they're definitely worth taking a look at. They're on our website, they're on YouTube.
Yeah.
David does a very good job, for the most part, controlling himself around Davison. But
Oh my
it's
goodness, that's
it's
funny.
obvious.
Good job.
It is obvious to tell that the guy really likes his doctor. I mean, it's it's enviable.
And also, Davison was a good sport towards the end. Yes. Yeah, it started off like, I'm going to get a restraining order, to Davison is like the coolest guy ever.
I think he was happy to go back to the other side of the pond.
Well, he did ask me for all my footage.
Uh-huh. So he can be like, okay, police officers, this is what this guy looks like when he comes over
those were
here.
bodies.
Uh-huh. This is what this guy looks like if he ever comes over here. Or if I go to another convention.
So, anything else you want to say about Davison before we wrap this bad boy up?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm good.
So, this is Gallifrey Pirate Radio signing off. So, thank you for celebrating our second anniversary with us talking about
Thank
Peter
you guys for
Davison.
coming.
Yes, thank you for listening to No, let's give them this would be behind after the credits.
All right.
We have one more little clip that we forgot about.
This is 60 seconds long, but this is the first time classic Who footage was used in
What is it? Yes. Time Lord. But they're forbidden to interfere. This one calls himself the Doctor and does nothing else but interfere.
The Americans have tried here.
We will be seeing the 10th Planet on DVD this later too.
Degenerated form that confine the Cybermen with their eyes to Monteros.
I imagine you have orders to
Too much Cybermen.
The Cybermen have British accents.
In our attempt to destroy Roma. The planet of Roma.
You've no home planet, no influence, nothing.
I love this design of the Cybermen, that you can actually see a humanoid chin
Yeah.
through the.
My mom was watching, she's like, why is that guy inside that suit? And I'm just like, Mom, go away.
Again, but he must be found and destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing about the Cybermen, even though we're not really talking about Cybermen, is that, they're one of the creatures that we've seen evolve over, lose more and more of their humanity over time. But yes.
Recently more so.
Yes.
Upgraded.
So we hope you have the rest of a great con. We will also be at the Classic Doctor or Classic Who versus New Who panel
And
tomorrow.
I will be on the Doctor Who costuming panel tomorrow morning as well.
Ooh, two panels tomorrow. So yeah. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.